Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we are going to be talking about Jungle Cruise. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Easily the biggest pro for this movie are our two leads, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt. Now, for Dwayne Johnson, do I even need to tell you who he is? I'm pretty sure everyone on planet Earth knows who he is at this point. But for those of you, the five of you out there who don't know, Dwayne Johnson, he started as a wrestler, The Rock, hugely popular in WWE. Eventually, he left WWE. Well, he stopped wrestling and he went on to Hollywood, where started out a tad rocky. That was not. That was an unintentional pun. Like with the Scorpion King did all right, and then it just kind of had a bunch of mid-range movies like all these, like Doom, like yikes. Uh his career really didn't start getting anywhere until Fast 5, which was also not just the turning point for The Rock's career, but Fast and Furious as a whole. I've already covered that when we talked about F9. So after that, his track record got a lot better. It was in Journey 2, that did well. There's G.I. Joe Retaliation, that did okay. Obviously, the Fast Furious 6, 7, 8. Hobbs and Shaw did fine. But then there's his non-Fast and Furious movies like San Andreas, Central Intelligence, Moana. The recent Jumanji movies, Welcome to the Jungle and Jumanji The Next Level. Rampage, all did quite well. And some of these movies were mainly just about him. Like it was him and him alone that was gonna make sure the movie either swam or sank. And his track record is quite strong. I mean, there is enough evidence to support that. And then Emily Blunt, his co-star, like The Rock, her track record was kind of spotty, like super spotty when it first started. Just a kind of a lot of mid-range movies, like nothing big, nothing, super noteworthy until, in my opinion, Edge of Tomorrow. I feel like that movie was kind of the turning point in Emily Blunt's career, where she got a lot of cred from a lot of people. And after that, there was Sicario, Girl on the Train. That was kind of an iffy movie. And then the big one, the huge one, A Quiet Place. That blew every that blew up all expectations. But then that later year, she had Mary Poppins Returns, which wasn't the hit a lot of people thought it would be. I mean, it wasn't a flop, but it wasn't a big old success either. And then just this summer, he had A Quiet Place Part 2, which I still think is truly the one block. Well, I guess we can count F9 too as one of the only two movies I can consider true blockbusters, undisputed blockbusters in the summer of 2021. So yeah, you got both co-stars, both riding high on certain movies. Emily Blunt with the Quiet Place movies, The Rock with just about everything. And so putting them together is a smart move. Very smart move. It's always a good idea to have two successful actors, pair them together, because it becomes quite an appealing duo for a lot of general audiences. So I would consider that a pro. Rock, Emily Blunt together, good idea. So that's pro number one. Pro number two, when it comes to family competition, there really is none at this point. I mean, Space Jam 2 had its moment to shine and completely collapsed in week 2, so that's not even going to be a factor at this point. There won't be another real family movie in the market until Paw Patrol, the movie, but that's not till 3 weeks from now. So Jungle Cruise has quite a bit of time to make some money. I don't know if it's going to make all the money, but at least some money. So I guess we consider that a pro. Another pro, reviews aren't terrible. They're like in the 60s, which isn't bad per se. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. It's not going to kill the movie. Besides, family movies are kind of critic proof anyway. I guess it depends on what type of family movie it is. Like if it's like a cringe fest, yeah, it's gonna die. But if there's just enough entertainment for the whole family, even if it's not the greatest movie in the world, it might just thrive. I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna happen with this, but that's still something to consider. So I would consider that a pro. Okay, cons, 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 cons. Con number one: Disney Plus Premier Access. This is the, well, technically fifth, the fifth Disney Plus Premier Access movie. This all started with Mulan last year. That skipped theaters entirely and went straight to Disney Plus Premier Access. So that doesn't really count in this case. So the other three, Raya and the Last Dragon, Cruella, Black Widow, all got the Disney Plus Premier Access treatment where if you want to watch this movie at home or on your phone or whatever and not in the theater, all you have to do is pay $30 to watch it. Then in a few months' time, it'll be free on Disney Plus. So after, Raya, Cruella, Black Widow have now come out, we now have an understanding on how successful or unsuccessful this whole experiment is. And from what I've seen, yeah, this experiment's a bust. It's done nothing for these movies. In fact, it's only done damage to these movies, particularly a Black Widow. Because, I mean, sure, I mean, it is cheaper for you to just go to the theater to watch these movies, but some people just don't feel like going to the theater. They'd rather just watch it at home because it's more convenient. Not to mention piracy. Piracy. Like these movies are going to be like on the Digiverse in like a matter of hours once they launch on their streaming platform. So that kills all types of revenue. And there's a high chance the same thing will happen to this movie. And the thing is, Raya and the Last Dragon only made like $50 million in the States. Cruella, 80 million. Black Widow so far, it's reached like 150. Like these are not numbers I would be screaming about. I'd be shouting about. These are the type of numbers I'd be embarrassed by, considering the type of movies they are. And I don't think Jungle Cruise is gonna do that much better, to be honest. So yeah, that's big old con is Disney Plus Premier Access. That's gonna take away some potential box office from this movie. But that's just one con. Another con is that this movie feels very old school and not particularly in a good way. This feels like a movie that should have been made in the 90s but wasn't and was, I guess, put on the back burner for a long time, so they decided to revive the project. That's what this movie feels like. It feels like a mid 90s movie in 2021. And I don't know if that's really going to stick with like modern audiences. I don't think this movie's going to be like as memorable as, say, movies of this generation. Even movies like, I don't know, even take place in the past, like say Joker. I'm sure that movie took place in the 70s, but it still had themes that are relevant, somewhat relevant today. Like, what does this movie have? Not much. It just feels like a 90s adventure movie, like a family friendly adventure movie along the same lines as like the original Jumanji. That's what this feels like. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if a movie like this would succeed in today's movie world. So I would consider that a relative con. I guess another con is that, well, The Rock. Well, this is mostly about The Rock. The Rock, he's had hits, but he's also had bombs. Anyone remember Baywatch, Skyscraper? Anyone? No? Exactly. Nobody watched those movies, despite The Rock being a prominent, being basically the prominent selling point in both. So just because you have big actors in a movie doesn't always mean the movie's gonna be successful. Look at Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr. That was one of the biggest busts of, well, technically this decade. So yeah, like star power is not everything. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And for this, it's really a coin toss between whether it works or it doesn't work. So I guess that we consider that a con. That star power isn't everything. Another con is that this movie is based off a Disney park, theme park ride, similar to movies like, say, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean, that was a pure lightning in a bottle type movie, a movie that had so much against it, but it defied all the odds and was a huge, 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 huge success. Led the four sequels, $1 billion franchise, actually a multi-billion dollar franchise. But not every movie can be Pirates of the Caribbean. Look at Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, or even Tomorrowland, a movie I legitimately forgot existed until a few days ago. And I owned the movie on physically on DVD, and I forgot I even had it. That's how memorable that movie was. And both those movies were duds. Tomorrowland, especially, being a huge disaster. So, yeah, Disney's track record when it comes to their theme park movies is not good unless it has pirates in it. So there's a high chance that this movie might not do well, because I mean, again, it's not a guarantee. Like, nothing's a guarantee with this movie. Not the star power, not the type of movie it is, nothing. Like, it's just one of those things where this movie can either be a huge success or a huge failure. And it can only be one or the other. It can't be anywhere. It can't be in between. So I'll consider that another con. You know, the fact that Disney, basically a bunch of Disney theme park movies, don't do the best. Another con, obviously, pandemic. This Delta variant thing that might hurt the box office. It might not. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it's still something that could hurt this movie, so I'm considering it a con. And one last con, the family movies this year have done bad. It has not been good at all. I mean, not one family movie has made 100 million domestically. Not Tom and Jerry, not Ray and the Last Dragon, not Cruella, not Peter Rabbit 2, not Boss Baby 2, not Space Jam 2. All tanked to some degree. So, well, yeah, Spirit Untamed 2, that tanked too. I forgot it even existed. So, yeah, like, what chance does this movie have? I mean, Space Jam had the biggest opening of the bunch, and even that movie tanked in week 2 and is now classified as a flop. And I feel like this movie might join the flop category real soon. So, yeah, big con right there. Family movies have done bad recently. So overall, opening weekend, if we were in pre-pandemic times, I would have said like 40 million maybe, if it was lucky. That's not going to happen now. uh I'm going to go on a limb and say 25 to 30 million. That's where I'm the most comfortable positioning this movie. It might do lower, who knows? But I'm going to stick with 25 to 30 million. Then it might leg out to 70, 80 million, which, how much does this movie cost? I'm assuming it's super expensive. Uh, so that's not too good for the movie. I mean, sure, it has that Disney Plus money it can make, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see this movie doing all that well. I mean, it'll be the biggest movie of the weekend, but that's about it. It's going to be number one by default, which is never the type of number one you want to have when you win by default, when you win with no effort at all. Like that's not good. But yeah. So yeah, that's it for Jungle Cruise. All we got left this weekend is Stillwater, and then after that, that's the end of July. Thank God, because July was not good. But anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made this year. Your Raya and the Last Dragons, your Corellas, your Black Widows when it comes to like Disney movies. And even other family movies like Space Jam 2, Boss Baby 2, Peter Rabbit 2, Tom and Jerry. If you want to watch it, and all other movies that have come out this year, all major ones. So if you want to watch any of those, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. That the series may or may not come back depending on how bad this Delta variant situation gets. But and then in the meantime, you have 71 episodes to watch. So if you want to watch any of those, you can go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. July recap will come out first week of August. But if you want to watch any of my past recap videos, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.